Welcome to my channel folks, Wildlife Ranger here on YouTube, where today we look at another member of the British flora dancing a dalliance before your eyes. The next plant that we're looking at in this episode of the 50 Flowers in 50 Days series is a plant known as Enchanters Nightshade or Circaea lutetiana. This often overlooked plant contains an inflorescence of tiny white flowers. Enchanters Nightshade is a low-growing woodland plant which unusually flowers during the summer months of July and August. Enchanters Nightshade is a member of the Family Onagraceae or the Willowherb family. Instead of flowering in early spring when there is no tree canopy, Enchanters Nightshade employs a specific evolutionary relationship with the small ground-flying micro-hoverflies such as Neonaceae and Cerita. Keen observers of the flowers will notice that the flower droops downwards so that the hoverfly attaches itself and rubs pollen from its belly of one flower to another. Two such hoverflies fall within the genus Neonaceae, or the club-tailed hoverflies, and the genus Cerita, and these are very tiny hoverflies, circa 6 to 10 millimeters. After cross-pollination has been achieved, the remaining ovary develops into a hairy bear-like structure which is transported on the hairs and fur of animals, distributing the seeds of the plant. The plant is not overly endowed with common vernacular names, and the term nightshade is something of a misnomer as it is not in the Nightshade family. The prefix Circaea in the Latin name comes from the Enchantress Circe of Greek mythology, who had a knowledge of magic and poisons. The suffix lutetiana comes from Lutetia, the Latin name for the city of Paris, sometimes referred to as the city of witches. Welcome to my channel folks, Wildlife Ranger here on YouTube on this breezy day. We've come here today to compare and contrast the habitat which we visited back in March or April at the start of the 50 Flowers in 50 Days series, when we imaged a plant known as opposite-leaved golden saxifrage. When we came, there was an absence of tree canopy, and many of the plant families such as the buttercup family or the Vernacular will attempt to get their life cycle over before the onset of the tree canopy, so that they may grow, make the best of the light and establish in the open sunlight or the dappled shade. The contrast that we're making today is with a plant in the family Onagraceae, specifically known as Enchanters Nightshade or Circaea lutetiana. And this plant is unusual in the context that we're discussing insofar as it flowers between July and August, where you might think the mainstream pollinators would not have view of it. And that is generally true, but the plant has an evolutionary relationship that depends on the small micro hoverflies, to which we will include a few slides in the video that follows. So these small low ground plants of woodland develop a strategy where the hoverflies, the micro hoverflies, will pollinate them, and it's a very specific relationship. On today's walk we've also found two other members of the Onagraceae or Willowherb family. That includes the greater or hairy willowherb and the rosebay willowherb or fireweed. But our focus today is on the Enchanters Nightshade known as Circaea lutetiana. Okay, so just as we were videoing, just show you a very quick overview to some of the early spring botany that we can see here. So these are the newly emergent leaves of ransoms or garlic. Literally very, very nice to the taste is garlic, wild garlic I should say. So that's ransoms. As we move along here, we can see this lovely piece of sunshine that we've had. We have Lesser Celandine flowering. Lesser Celandine is a flower of the buttercup family, and there you can see it. Very early flowering plant, really, really distinguishable, like a buttercup, heart-shaped leaves, and we'll be covering that in a few videos that follow. Moving on down, we have ubiquitous stands of primrose. So just in this little space, even though it's early spring, Sunday the 29th of March, as you can see as we look up into the beach and the oak beyond, there's very, very little, no leaves in fact on the trees as yet. In a very, very short time we will have an explosion or burst of lime green verdure as the newly emerged vegetation kicks in for spring, and as we move towards summer that vegetation darkens and becomes a darker green. So this is where we're at here in a small woodland in Yorkshire. It's a steep-sided woodland with it's a steep-sided woodland with a stream in a valley known as a clough. So quick overview of it here, and we will be on to look at the habitat as we find it. So once again, ramsons, lesser celandine, primrose. So folks, you may recall way back in March and April when we first visited this site, the tree canopy was very much barren and this whole area was pretty empty. Since then, there's been a plethora of flowers that have come and gone. For example, ramsons, woodavens, ragwort, and before me today we have hedgerows and the plant of today, which is Enchanter's Nightshade, just here. There's been various other little plants in here such as primrose, bluebell, red campion, the list goes on. It's a very small productive area. So the plant that we're looking at today is a plant known as Enchanter's Nightshade, and I like to refer to this little plant as the number 2 plant, and the reason being it makes the descriptive botany very easy to describe because it has 2 large petals, 2 purple tipped recurved sepals, 2 anthers, and a stigma which is, a style which has a bifid stigma or a cleft stigma. And that summarises the botany of this little plant up. But I would strongly recommend that you use, to view the plant, a little device known as a loupe, to which there are some links in the description. And this is a ×10 loupe, which is a little magnifying glass which you bring to the eye and allows you to view the finer details of the plant at such a level that you may appreciate. So this is a loupe, or if you like a magnifying lens, and because of the size of this little plant, as you can see here, it's a very small flower structure, and it will require some degree of magnification. So in the images that follow, we'll take some still photographs using a number 10 diopter, that is to say 10 times magnification. The loupes themselves actually come in a variety of sizes. You can get a ×10 loupe, which is what this one is, a ×20 loupe, and a ×30 loupe, which is a little bit of overkill, but you should be able to see individual pollen grains with the ×30 triplet loupe. So that's just a few little botanist tools and tips if you are looking at Enchanter's Nightshade, or indeed the hedgerows in intrinsic detail. Next to a good field guide, the most important tool a botanist can have is a magnifying lens or loupe. and there are further links in the description in relation to loupes and magnifiers. As always, before we embark on our trek into the field, we look at the features and characteristics which will enable us to identify it, beginning with the flowers. We include a slide containing detailed botanical characteristics which may be stopped at any point for those of you who may wish to study the plant in more detail. Enchantress Nightshade is a member of the Family Onagraceae, Willowherb or Evening Primrose Family, and it should not be confused with the Nightshade Family, to which the common vernacular wrongly implies. It is a perennial plant that can grow up to 20 to 60 centimetres in height. The inflorescences consist of small white flowers which are on long thin stalks, which are usually angled at 45 degrees downwards before fruiting, thus allowing the small hoverflies to hang upside down and grapple and therefore distribute the pollen. The flowers of Enchantress Nightshade are born in inflorescences of white to pink tinged flower heads, between 4 and 8 millimeters in diameter. They are composed of 2 prominent white petals, 2 recurved purple tip backward sepals, and 2 anthers. One style which has a bifid or cleft stigma, with the style emerging from the green nectar-bearing disc at its base. The flowering period for this plant is from June through to August. There are 2 possible confusion species for this plant which fall outside the scope of this beginner's episode. However, the following slide is shown for completion. Let us now let the flower speak for itself. Let us now look briefly at the leaves of the plant. It has opposite leaves paired either side of the stem. The leaf margins are sinuate or wavy, and the leaves are rounded or slightly notched at the base and narrow gradually to the pointed tip. and are not strongly toothed as indicated. Well folks, that's it from me, and thank you very much again for watching. If you have enjoyed this video or found it interesting or educational, please like, share and subscribe to help this channel become a success and bring another in the series. Let us hope in springs to come that this small inconspicuous plant will become a notable friend on the landscape. In the words of Maggie, our adopted model of floral appreciation, whatever the weather may be, get outdoors and enjoy it.